My name is Rachel. If I had the power to rewind time and undo just one decision in my life, it would be the night I brushed off my husband's heartfelt concerns as if they were trivial. It seemed like nothing at the time, a casual evening in our cozy living room, the television humming in the background, a shared blanket draped over our legs. But that moment, small and seemingly forgettable, was a turning point that would unravel everything we had built. Jake, my husband, turned to me that evening with an expression that immediately told me something was weighing heavily on his heart. He muted the TV and gently said, "Can we talk for a minute?" I glanced over, not irritated exactly, but definitely dismissive, and replied, "Sure, what's up?" He hesitated before continuing, as though searching for the right words. "It's about Shah. I have a weird feeling about how much time he's been spending around here." Shah was an old college friend of Jake's who had recently moved back to town. We had welcomed him warmly. He visited often, sometimes even when Jake wasn't home. To me, it felt innocent. Shah was charismatic and friendly. He fixed the leaky faucet in the kitchen, helped set up the new grill. He made us laugh. I rolled my eyes lightly and chuckled. "Come on, Jake. He's your friend. You're overthinking it." Jake looked down at his hands. "I trust you, Rachel. I really do. But something about the way he looks at you, it makes me uncomfortable." I laughed again, nervously this time. "You're being paranoid." And just like that, I ended the conversation. I silenced the one person whose intuition was meant to protect us both. I convinced myself it was harmless. Jake was busy with work. Shah was just filling a void. He was fun, engaging, and made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in a while. Jake left for a short business trip a few days later. Before he walked out the door, he gave me a long, deliberate look and squeezed my hand. "Just remember what I said," he whispered. I nodded, smiled, and kissed him goodbye. That evening, Shah showed up unexpectedly with takeout and 2 bottles of wine. I hesitated, heart racing slightly, but he brushed it off with an easy grin. "Just dinner, just company," he said. We ate, we drank, we talked, and as the night wore on, the boundaries I had always maintained began to blur. The laughter turned into lingering glances. He touched my hand. I didn't pull away. That night, something broke in me. The next morning, guilt wrapped itself around my chest like a vice. I had done the unthinkable, betrayed Jake's trust not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. I tried to rationalize it. I was lonely, vulnerable, confused, but no excuse was enough to erase the truth. I had made a choice, and it was one I couldn't undo. I didn't tell Jake. I couldn't. I pretended everything was fine. But guilt is a corrosive force. It changes your voice, your movements, your eyes. Jake noticed. Of course, he did. One evening, weeks later, he looked at me across the dinner table and asked gently, "Are you okay? Did anything happen while I was gone?" I shook my head, smiled too quickly. Nothing happened. He didn't press. But 3 weeks later, the truth found its way into the open. Jake discovered text messages on my phone, flirtatious, incriminating, undeniable. Words I hadn't deleted, words that betrayed every denial I had offered. When he confronted me, he didn't yell. He just looked utterly broken. "You told me there was nothing to worry about," he whispered. "I trusted you. I opened my heart to you. I begged. I sobbed. I offered explanations that felt hollow even to my own ears. But my words no longer had meaning." That night, he packed a bag and left. No shouting, just silence. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. It screamed in every empty room, echoed through every memory. Shah tried to reach out afterward. Called, texted, even showed up once. I ignored him all. Then one message chilled me to the core. "You should have been with me from the beginning. Now you have no one." I blocked him immediately, filed a report, But the damage had long been done. Jake returned once, weeks later, to collect the rest of his belongings. We talked, we cried. He told me he still loved me, but that he didn't know if he could ever trust me again. And I understood. Now, I live in the same house, but it's not the same home. It's colder, quieter. There are echoes where laughter used to be. Jake and I speak occasionally on holidays, on birthdays. He's always kind, always distant. I began therapy not long after. At first, I thought I didn't need it. I thought I could swallow the guilt and move on. But guilt doesn't dissolve. It festers. One session changed everything. My therapist asked, "When did you stop choosing your marriage?" That question haunted me, because the answer wasn't the night with Shah, it was before that. It was the night I didn't take Jake seriously. The night I let my pride speak louder than his heart. Infidelity doesn't always begin with a kiss. Sometimes it begins with dismissiveness, with arrogance, with loneliness that turns into entitlement. Jake wasn't perfect. No one is. But he was loyal. He was honest. He was trying to protect us. And I failed him. I used to daydream about reconciliation, about a knock on the door, Jake standing there, tears in his eyes, ready to forgive. But time brings clarity. Healing isn't always about getting back what you lost. Sometimes, it's about learning to live with what you broke. So, I began to rebuild, not to replace what I destroyed, but to honor the lessons it taught me. I started volunteering, mentoring younger women, teaching them about boundaries, self-respect, and honoring commitments, not because I have it all figured out, but because I know what it's like to lose everything for one careless moment. Jake and I still text occasionally. The messages are short, polite, wrapped in layers of distance. And maybe that's how it's meant to be. People say time heals all wounds. I don't think that's entirely true. Time gives you distance. It gives you perspective. But healing, that comes from facing your truth and owning your story. If I could speak to Jake one last time, not as his wife, but as a woman who now understands what she lost, I would say, you were right. Your instincts were trying to protect us, and I was wrong to make you feel small for listening to them. I see you now, in a way I wish I had then. I didn't protect us. I let my pride get in the way of your love. And for that, I'll always be sorry. Love isn't just about passion or promises. It's about listening, believing each other, honoring those quiet, uncomfortable truths. And now, as I sit in this quiet house filled with memories of a life I threw away, I hold on to one hope, not that Jake will come back, but that wherever he is, he's healing, that he's found peace, that he's found someone who listens the way I should have.